Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley, and in this podcast, I review past crossover episodes from previous Arrowverse shows. So, last week we did Flash vs. Arrow and The Brave and the Bold. This week, we will be doing the two-parter Legends crossover from Season 2 of The Flash, Legends of Today, and Season 4 of Arrow, Legends of Yesterday. Now, these two episodes served as the setup for the first season of the Legends of Tomorrow show. Now, going into these two episodes, I had remembered more of the Legends of Tomorrow characters being on these two-parter crossovers, and so I misremembered this episode, and I got it confused with the pilot episode of the Legends of Tomorrow show. So I was very surprised when I watched these episodes that it really focuses on the Hawk Girl character and her relationship with Hawkman. So the first episode is Legends of Today from Season 2, Episode 8 of The Flash. And it starts out with Cisco and Kendra, aka Hawk Girl, and they get interrupted on their date by a villain called Vandal Savage. Now, Vandal Savage is kind of a villain that just came out of nowhere. I don't really understand his motives. I don't know why he's doing what he's doing. They do say that he needs to kill him in order to become more powerful, but the whole backstory with Vandal Savage and Hawkman and Hawkgirl doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Where I don't know where the magic comes from. I don't know how they can turn into Hawkman and Hawkgirl and why Vandal Savage has all these powers. So none of that is very clear and makes any sense. But other than that, I did enjoy these two episodes. I really liked that Barry immediately goes to Oliver for help, and he explains that they don't know what to do in cases of the magic and the mystical, and so they go over to Oliver. But I do like that Oliver kind of yells at Barry a little bit about not knowing who Kendra is and not knowing who the threat is and bringing them to Oliver's team and putting them all at risk. I thought that was kind of a nice little speech, kind of shows that, sometimes Barry doesn't always think things through, but his heart's in the right place. He knew that he needed Team Arrow's help in this situation. So it was a great natural way to cross over the two episodes and bring them in on this one storyline together. So that's the one thing I like about these two episodes is that they are one whole storyline. It's the first time that two shows crossed over with one storyline, and it sort of sets up the future crossover episodes all being one storyline going forward. And so that's nice, and it's good to go back and revisit this episode for that. And I like the Flash team and the Arrow team coming together. I like the party scene. It's nice to see them in a social setting, drinking, listening to music, having a good time, smiling. And I liked Barry catching up with Oliver, talking about how Oliver and Felicity are dating now. So I don't watch Arrow. It's nice to kind of get caught up on the cast and everything, and what the characters are doing. And I like that Oliver admits that he was wrong, that sometimes the heroes can get the girl. So, good for Oliver. And for the first part of the first episode, Kendra is kind of like a background character. She's just kind of being passed around between the team. She doesn't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. They're just being attacked by Vandal Savage. I do like the scene. Vandal Savage comes crashing through the window and attacks them at the party, and he proves to be a formidable foe for them. Like, he catches all of Oliver's arrows. He throws a bunch of knives. Barry gets hit with one of them. Like, he's a tough guy. And so it shows what a threat he is and how they need to figure out how to stop him. And then we get Carter, a.k.a. Hawkman, who comes in and grabs Kendra and sort of takes her away, and that's when we find out that they are linked together. They're eternal lovers. Every life they live, they always find their way back to each other. All this romantic nonsense. And I remember not liking Carter from these episodes, but I actually like him here, and I like that he kind of gets along well with Oliver. Like, they're kind of on the same page. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. I don't hate him as much as I thought I did. He and Hawkgirl are not the best characters, and so I know that they get written off of Legends of Tomorrow, and maybe that was for the best. But he does a fine job here. She does a fine job here. And I do like this episode. I thought it was a good episode. Being that it's the Flash episode of the two-parter, we get a little bit of Jay Garrick, a.k.a. Zoom, pretending to be Jay Garrick. We get Harrison Wells. We get Barry and Patty. And, I was one of the people, I liked Patty. I liked Barry and Patty. I thought they were a cute couple. And, of course, she shoots Harrison Wells in this episode, which I did not remember happened either. But then they bring in Caitlin and this whole deal with the fake Jay Garrick. And I didn't remember that any of that stuff either. And like I was talking about last podcast, I remember enjoying the first 2 seasons of The Flash more than I have enjoyed these last few seasons. But rewatching these episodes, it reminds me that I really don't remember the first 2 seasons of The Flash as well as I thought. And so maybe I need to go back and do some rewatches there. But I do like, it is nice seeing old fake Jay Garrick, aka Zoom. And I like the Earth 2 version of Harrison Wells. We do get him back in season 4. And so it's just nice being back in this kind of season 2 universe of The Flash. I really like that. Another thing I wanted to mention real quick was Malcolm Merlyn. I love how he just like enters the room just like out of nowhere, and Barry like calls him out on it. He's like, "Is that the only way this guy knows how to enter a room?" And we do see that he tends to know a little bit more about Vandal Savage than he lets on. And it's interesting to see, since I don't watch Arrow, I don't know where this or Legends of Tomorrow, I don't know where the plot thread goes with Malcolm Merlyn and why he knows so much about Vandal Savage, why he's trying to track Vandal Savage, his interest in him, I don't know. But I do like Malcolm Merlyn. I always loved John Barrowman. And so it was nice to see him popping up here because I don't watch Arrow, so it's a good way to get some Malcolm Merlyn in. And of course his daughter is Thea, aka Speedy, the Red Archer lady, who I only know from these crossover episodes. And I gotta say I like her. I like when Vandal Savage crashes the party, she's the one that gets the last shot in, and she says, "I'm finishing the job," and she shoots the arrow and he goes out the window. I like that. I like a girl that, is not going to just sit around and wait for the guys to plan and take action. She's going to do it. So I like that about her. I thought she was an interesting character in these episodes. Now, Kendra is kind of the main plot device or character that's central to this episode. And, of course, her relationship with Cisco is brought in here. And I don't know how I feel about Cisco and Kendra as a couple. They're kind of cute, but I also don't feel very bad for them at the end when they don't get together. So that's kind of a lot of the episode is Cisco and Kendra and him being jealous of Carter a little bit. But I don't really care about any of that. I like Barry, I like Oliver, and it's nice to see the update of the Arrow Lab. We saw it last week's podcast, The Brave and the Bold, the other version of the Arrow Batcave, I guess. And it's nice to see this new, and then it's nice to see the new lab, and then of course he has the Flash suit mannequin up next to the Arrow green suit mannequin, which was kind of cool. I believe was teased in the Brave at the end of the Brave and the Bold. So that's kind of a nice callback right there. So I definitely remember liking these 2-parter episodes, but I gotta say I did not remember this first episode, Legends of Today, as well as I had thought I did. But I enjoy it a lot, though, actually. I think it's a well-done episode. I really like bringing in the Arrow team, but that's pretty much all I have to say about that episode, because we'll talk more about the characters in the next episode. So now let's move on to the Legends of Yesterday episode from Season 4, Episode 8 of Arrow. So like the first parter, I didn't really remember this episode. I had thought we had seen a couple of the other members of the Legends team on here. We don't, but this is a good episode. It's probably the best of the two, and I really like it. It gives us some flashbacks to ancient Egypt with Hawkman and Hawkgirl and sort of their history. It does feel a little weird saying that these two characters are from ancient Egypt and with Vandal Savage, but, I don't want to go in the whole whitewashing thing, and not really a big deal or a big problem, but it was kind of a little bit like, maybe not the best casting choices. Although maybe Kendra could have passed for Egyptian. But I still didn't like the flashback episodes. I don't really know what sort of purpose they have. They don't really give us too much more information than was already explained to us. So it's just flashbacks for flashbacks, and I don't really care for these Egyptian flashbacks. But one thing I do like that they do here in this episode is they make a distinction between the word immortal and reincarnation. Vandal Savage is an immortal, so he can't be killed. But Hawkman and Hawkgirl, they are reincarnated every time. So while they are still alive now, they haven't been living forever like Vandal Savage has. They die each time and just are reincarnated, and they don't necessarily have their memories right away after every time they reincarnate. So it's interesting that they make that distinction, but then there's no real explanation for the magic that explains all of this stuff between Vandal Savage and the Hawk people. So that's not really explained. But they do make more of an effort in this episode to explain some of the stuff going on between Hawkman, Hawkgirl, and Vandal Savage. So that's good. And of course, these 2 episodes introduce us to Oliver finding out that he has a son named William. And that storyline takes place over these 2 episodes, and really in this episode, he gets a DNA test. He has Barry run the DNA test, confirming that William is his son, and he confronts the mother. And then we have a little conflict between Oliver and Felicity, her saying that he was hiding this from her. And then, of course, right after that, Barry and Oliver, they make a plan to go after Vandal Savage. And this is one of the things that I didn't remember about this episode, is that they go after Vandal Savage with this plan, but it doesn't work, and everybody ends up dying, except for Barry. He can run fast enough, and he actually time travels. I don't remember this from this episode, but so he time travels, he goes back in time, and he warns Oliver, and they come up with a better plan this time. They get everybody involved, and they go after Vandal Savage, and they finally think that they have won, that they have finally taken him out, but of course they don't, and Malcolm Merlyn is right there behind them to pick up the ashes. Again, I don't know where that ends up going. But one thing I did notice is Black Canary kind of is useless in this episode. I don't watch Arrow, so I don't know this character well, but she really has like maybe a handful of lines and does nothing but jump out of the back of the van and scream at somebody. Just felt kind of background in this episode, which already had a lot of characters, so I don't know that we needed her. Other than this is the Arrow episode of the 2-parter, so they just threw in extra Arrow characters maybe. But one of the moments I did like is in the first day before Barry turns back time, Carter tries to get Kendra to emerge into her Hawk Girl persona, and it doesn't work. And it's not until the second redo day, when Cisco goes and talks to Kendra, and he's the one that gets her to emerge. And I just find it to be interesting that Carter, this long-time reincarnated lover of her, he couldn't bring the Hawk Girl out of her, but Cisco could. So there's something about Cisco that allows her to be herself. And it kind of makes you feel bad that this relationship didn't go anywhere. And in the end, Cisco makes a joke that, she's leaving with Carter, but she doesn't even like him. She trusts Carter enough to have him help her. And it's a little sad that she can't stay with Cisco. But that was a good moment on the farm where he has a speech to her and he gets to help her out. And she gets to become Hawk Girl. So this is a good episode. This is a good crossover. It sets the foundation for future crossovers. Like I said, it's one connected story. It has the teams working together against a threat they've never seen before. And I really like how they bring the teams together and they introduce these new characters. And like I said, I totally had got this confused with the Legends of Tomorrow pilot episode. So I might have to go and watch a couple of episodes of Legends of Tomorrow. I know that they sort of have a rotating cast, and I don't know all of the characters on Legends of Tomorrow. I'll have to catch up with that before the new Crisis. But this was a good episode. This was a good crossover episode. Nice 2-parter. And of course, the next crossover that we get is a 3-parter. Technically a 3-parter, but billed as a 4-parter. So that's it for this episode of Legends of Today and Legends of Yesterday. Next time we will be discussing the Invasion crossover, and we're going to start with the Supergirl episode Medusa, which doesn't have anything to do with the Invasion crossover, but it was billed as a 4-part crossover, so I included it. And then the first part of the Invasion, Flash Season 3, Episode 8, Invasion. And that will be for next week's podcast for the Invasion crossover, which is sort of the kind of first big crossover that they had that really elevated the yearly crossovers. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be exciting to rewatch those episodes. Haven't seen those in a while. So my favorite part of this episode is probably the party scene. I like everybody interacting in just a relaxed social setting. And then I like the fight with Vandal Savage ending with the shooting the arrow at him and going over the railing. That's probably my favorite scene out of these 2 episodes. So thank you all for listening. Please feel free to share your comments below. What was your favorite part of the episode? Did you like these episodes? Do you remember these episodes? Are you excited for the upcoming Crisis on Infinite Earths? I know I am. So be sure to like and share and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for listening. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next Crisis. Thank you all for listening. If you want to hear my thoughts on the current episodes of The Flash, Supergirl, and Batwoman, follow me over on the Stardust app at Crashly87, CRASHLIE 87, for my quick thoughts on the latest episodes. For those bookworms out there, be sure to check out my blog, Fantastic Literature, linked in the description below, for book reviews, short story reviews, news articles, and general thoughts about the literary industry. Check it out, and if you like the podcast, be sure to follow, like, and share it, and be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below.